Hello. Hi. Welcome to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. It is the 22nd of July, the beginning of school holidays. What a fucking nightmare for everyone involved. People love their children. I absolutely adore my children and other people's children. But I think that unless you also get a summer holiday from your work, and even if you do, it's difficult to occupy a certain age group for 6 weeks in the summer, longer if you live in Canada. Violet has been off school since the 16th of June. Fred and Fenna go to nursery 3 days a week, and that does not stop in the summer. So we don't even know when school holidays are. I found out because I was on Global Radio, Hard FM, yesterday promoting my little cameo in The Bad Guys 2, which is released in UK cinemas on Friday, July 25th. And someone mentioned to me, oh, it's school holidays, perfect time for school holidays. That starts today. I said, what? What? You mean that I can no longer go into public spaces and be the only person there with kids? Because everything just gets feral. It's one thing to have toddlers in a soft play, toddlers at the park, but when you start to mix in like 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, it just becomes a little bit like an MMA cage fight. And there are extra parents there that we don't know, like the regular toddler parents. We don't know these parents. And everything just takes longer. We live near this very beautiful ice cream farm. I don't mind shouting it out. It's called Lewis of London. I don't like to tell people exactly where I live, but I feel like that ship has sailed since we have the reality show. You see pictures of the outside of my house. It's not hard to figure it out. I talk about it enough. It's a beautiful ice cream farm. People travel from all over to bring their children there. They have this artisan ice cream. I think they have their own cows. During the Easter time, they have chicks there and baby goats, and then they have all these different seasonal activities. Right now, they've got this play installation called Moo Land, where you can dig in the sand and ride on tractors. I don't even know what else you do there. What do you do at Moo Land? It's just fun. Oh yeah, they have like a little sensory area, and you can scoop sand and pretend it's ice cream. It sounds shit, but it's great. I think that they even have ride-on tractors, like not real tractors, but like go-karts kind of, and a slide. It's great. But I will say, zero criticisms about this place. Inflatable slides, birthday parties. Apart from when you're queuing for ice cream, which takes a long time, through no fault of the company, it is through the fault of people who don't take advantage of the menus that are posted during the queue so you can decide. Then you're really hot. There isn't any sun cover when you're queuing for ice cream, and you do have to queue sometimes in the hotter, busier summer days for a really long time. And you know me and my lack of melanin, I just can't do that. But yeah, there are many flavors to choose from, and I get that people want to come up and see, and people are navigating, like dealing with small kids, and kids change their mind, but the menu's right there outside of the actual ice cream store. It's on the wall. You can make a decision. You could narrow it down to like 3 flavors and then get to your place in the queue and be ready to order. But I found this, even as a waitress and as a bartender, there are certain people, nothing will prepare them to order their drinks or food. Nothing. No amount of time with the menu. Also, you could be having like 3 different tables ordering at the same time. You could be juggling 7 tables in your section, and you'll say, are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes? And they'll say, we're ready. And they're fucking lying. They're nowhere near goddamn ready. And they go, and you go, I can give you a few minutes, but they don't trust you to ever come back. So they don't want to lose you. And I get that. And that is the fault of the UK customer service industry. Canadians are a little bit more trusting that you will come back. Why? Because if you do a good job, you're going to get a tip at the end. But in the UK, you will have a server just disappear for the rest of her life and move to a new town. And you can never get the bill. Let this be an outcry. Anyone working in customer service, you can instantly increase your tip. And, we do tip in the UK now. I know that there's like a system that needs to be ironed out. I don't know who's responsible for this, but There should never be an instance where your entire tip is being split evenly by the staff. There should never be an instance where management is getting any of your tip. They earn a salary that is reflective of them not making cash tips. Servers earn less because it is assumed that they are receiving tips. In Canada, there are really strict regulations against this. You cannot be a salaried manager and taking even a penny in tips. Now, if you do work a table, it's reasonable that you would give a percentage of the bill to the bar staff, to the kitchen, to the dishwashers. But it's a small percentage. I think it's like 3% is the standard. And that incentivizes you. Like if a table decides to give you a 35% tip, which is not unheard of, you get to keep most of that. And by the way, if you feel like the bar and the kitchen really had your back and you want to tip them out a bit more, you can. They don't receive a percentage of your tip. They receive a percentage of your total sales bill. Management gets nothing. But in this country, I have servers every day being like, do not bother tipping me. I either get zero of it or, there's 12.5 measly percent included on the bill that is already split amongst all of us. If you give it to me extra, it'll be split so much amongst like management and every single person who works there. I'll end up making pennies from it anyway. Like, don't bother. So Bobby is a real cash only enterprise. He tries to always have cash to give them. And in that instance, maybe they do have a chance of getting it, but it's difficult to always have cash as well. Like in today's society, it's difficult to predict. Like if you just pop into a restaurant and you didn't get cash out that day, tipping is difficult. But while you iron all of this out, can I tell you how to make the most tips? People will wait for a drink. They don't want to. You shouldn't have them sat for more than 90 seconds without coming over to say hello and offer them something. 90 seconds. And you should bring them a drink within 2 minutes if you can, 4 maximum. They'll wait for their food if they need to. They will wait. But when people are ready to leave, they have to leave. You should assume that they've got to go. Everyone's in a rush. They will not wait for the bill. And this is the part of customer service that I think is so often lacking in the UK, is I will have servers time and time again who either drop off the bill and then disappear, not assuming that I will obviously need a card machine, or they'll just leave you with dirty plates like for a lifetime and they will never offer you the bill. And if you're not sure, if you feel like you're hustling someone out or you rushing them, like you can always say, oh, could I interest you in any drinks or coffees or desserts? Can I top that up for you? You can be attentive still at the end. But when people want the bill, they want the bill. So don't just assume that they're done ordering and they want to sit with dirty dishes for 20 minutes and never come again. Give people the bill. Give them the bill, have the card machine in your hand, and get them out of there. And if you want, you could be like, oh, would you like to settle up now and finish your drinks? Like people just don't want to wait for you. And I had the loveliest service. This is a few months ago now. I didn't want to talk about it straight away when I was in Leeds with Annie. We had such a lovely girl. And I had a great time. And I had cash that day because I'd had my nails done. And I thought, oh my God, she's smashing it out of the park. And then for reasons unknown, she just disappeared. I don't know. I think she died. She never came back again. We couldn't get the bill. We had to go ask for the bill, which annoys me. And then we paid someone else. And so we did leave a tip because I am from Canada, but I wasn't happy about it. I feel badly with this podcast because, as you know, it is a stream of consciousness. I think the funniest position is always an extreme one. If I feel in the middle, but slightly on one side of an issue, I'll just say I'm completely on the one side of the issue just because why? I think it's funnier. An extreme position is always funnier. So while I was promoting The Bad Guys 2, and again, it's a great film. I went to a screening on Sunday with the children, with the whole family, and it was really refreshing because when you do a voice cameo in a film, you don't get to see the entire film. Obviously, I'm not a producer. Like, how am I going to get a special screening before Sunday with everyone else? So I went with everyone else and I thought, oh, I hope the film is good. Not just my little parts. I know my parts are good. I know I liked the Bad Guys original movie, but the whole movie is like really entertaining, high octane, kept Fred totally engaged. Fenna didn't complain. She did fall asleep, but it was nap time. It was tricky. And she'd had Skittles. Like, who gives a 2-year-old Skittles? There was a little foyer reception with Mr. Wolf, and she had some Skittles. So I don't know if she was in some type of like ketosis or some diabetic situation, but she slept for a bit, but she enjoyed the parts that she was awake for. Neither of the children recognized my voice in the film, and again, I'm not in it very much, but it is a great film, and it's a wonderful way to spend either a heat wave or a rainy day, or just to like a fun adventure out with popcorn and like excitement for a school holiday. It was great. But I've been promoting the film telling everyone that I'm the star. And I don't know how that could catch up with me. They can't prove it until the film comes out Friday, July 25th. I've been on the radio. I'm going to talk to Christine Lampard on Lorraine tomorrow morning. I'm so excited. She was at the screening as well. What can I do? Like, I just keep saying, yes, I'm the central character in the film. It's a legacy role. I think I called it a few times. Universal recognized my talent, and I'm the star. And I'm absolutely not. I am a cameo, very comedic, small role assistant to Diane Foxington, the now governor. There's a little feminist twist in the sequel, not giving any spoilers away. But every time I go on the radio or I go on these breakfast shows, and indeed every time I record the podcast, I don't realize that because of my, tendency to speak in extreme sentences, I sort of speak in headlines as well. And they ask me about my children. I try to be funny about the children. People ask me about the pregnancy. They ask me about, gender reveals and this and that. And on the radio, Jamie said, "Oh, do you ever experience gender disappointment?" And I said, "Yeah, I will if it's a boy." Because that's just how I speak. Will I be sad if it's a boy? I won't. I really believe that we get what we are meant to get. Fred and Fenna have been the perfect additions to my existing little family with Violet, who I always say is my favorite. I don't think that's going to damage Fred or Fenna when they grow up. I will raise my children to feel wholly loved and appreciated and honored for who they are and supported. But they will know, like, they're not stupid either. I had a decade with Violet before they came along. And they, what are you going to do? Sorry. You want to be the favorite? Do better. I'm putting money away for them. They can spend it on whatever therapy they like. I love them all individually. The reason that I say I don't want a boy, aside from just giving an extreme answer that people aren't expecting, is because I think it is a boy. I really do. It's huge. This baby is fucking huge. Its head is off the scale of what a head size should be. And that is off the scale for a boy. And boys' heads are on a greater scale than girl baby heads. So if this head is off the boy scale, then what even is it on the girl scale? It's like going to be studied in labs if it's a girl with this head. Although I've always had a big head. And then our obstetrician does say that that's bullshit and it doesn't matter and girls can have big heads. But I mean, I just think it is a boy. I just think it is. And so it's a funnier punchline if I set it up for a couple months going, well, I really don't want a boy. And then it's a picture of me with a boy in some type of fucking dinosaur shirt. And no disrespect to Fred, because if I'm being completely honest, which I'm not in my comedy, I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be extreme. I pick out truths and I amplify them to try to connect with people. Boys, for someone like me who has zero traditionally male interests, and I hate to create, gender bias, but it is true that Fenna is into a lot of things that I was also into, that Violet was also into, that my sisters liked as a little girl. She is emotionally strong. She likes to color. She likes to discuss things. She likes puzzles. She likes babies. She likes Barbies. She likes small world play. Like, I'm just more comfortable with doing those things. That's not to say Fenna doesn't play rugby, that Fenna doesn't roughhouse, that I don't get stuck into Fred's interests. But Fred's interests involve me being engaged in some type of fight, being a goblin for like an undetermined amount of the day. Fred wants to be Spider-Man, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, like villains. I have to be a villain involved in a fight that doesn't make sense to me. There's not a real narrative. I don't appreciate the editorial arc of Fred's play. There's no like, we're going to set this up nicely. Like, let's go over here. Let's talk about this. What's going to happen next? Fred just wants to like smash these like enemies together. And as he grows older, a storyline is revealing itself sometimes. It is getting a little bit more fun. But no, I do not naturally gravitate toward aggressive play. And we went from diggers and trucks. So I had to learn all the names of like excavators and windrows and tractors. And I know every hashtag boy mom has had to do the same. It wasn't easy for me. I did it. I love Fred. I did it. I'm a good mom. But inside, I was just like, what is this? Why do I know about farming? And then he graduated to like different types of vehicles, garbage trucks. And I had to learn about like all the systems of motors and stuff. And then it moved into dinosaurs for a bit. Luckily, he didn't spend loads of time on dinosaurs. Insects, that wasn't really Fred's wheelhouse. But cars, I don't know cars. Like if an Uber's coming for me, Bobby will be like, what kind of car is it? I'm like, I don't know, red. Like, I don't know what a Prius versus anything else looks like. Bobby's trying to buy a car right now and talking to me about designs. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not know. Car go fast, beep, beep. Big car, SUV, sports car, I know that. But then I had to learn about like Audis and things because of Fred and this one fucking mechanic book. And then he got into Ninja Turtles, which was kind of cool. I kind of remember Ninja Turtles. And then now it is superheroes and Spider-Man. And I'm fighting all the time. And God bless Fred. He is interesting and he's beautiful. Oh, he's the best looking of my children. Yeah, he'll be fine. He is thoughtful. He's clean. He follows the rules. He comes out with really intelligent things. Like, I love Fred. I admire Fred. He is the most artistic in terms of like performance and singing, and like he's cool. Fred is cool. But do I want to start back at diggers again? I don't. I have to be honest. I don't. I would rather color and talk about families and have a baby that's emotionally strong. That's not to say if we have a boy, I won't love him and I will understand as soon as he arrives that he's like meant to be the completion of our family, and everything we've had so far is perfect for us. But I don't think that people should be made to feel shame about gender disappointment. It's like, well, yeah, it's a different life having a little boy or having a little girl, unless you get an outlier who doesn't have those interests. But every little boy I've met wants to like be the Incredible Hulk. All right, that's difficult for me, especially at the minute, because there is another boy lodged in my pelvis that makes it really hard for me to get away when Vulture or whomever throws like fiery pumpkins at me or whatever the game is that day. Knights. I have to be a knight a lot of the time. God damn it. So yeah, it's all going to be fine, but I feel bad because Bobby's looking at these headlines. He's like, can you please stop saying that you don't like Fred? Well, I love Fred so much. He impresses me. But he was the most medically complex baby with reflux and eczema and just in terms of his tonsils, and he is very emotional. And I will roll with it if I have to. Again, it's paid off. He's great, but it's harder. It's harder to have a newborn like that. Speaking of my pregnancy, I received a notification, not to borrow from Sarah Pascoe's excellent material about a cervical screening. Who shall I invite? But I was invited to a cervical screening. I have been open in the past about a previous HPV diagnosis, which came as a shock. Nobody wants HPV, but it's great to be diagnosed with it because that's what happens before you get diagnosed with cervical cancer. And if you have to choose one, get diagnosed with the HPV, attend your smears, find out that you need to have that treated so that it does not develop into a more serious problem. I didn't have any, there are treatments you can have like laser or a loop, which takes some of your cervix and is more serious, or, chatz v'shalom, you have to have a radical hysterectomy if you do have cancerous cells that have progressed. But in my instance, I caught HPV very early. Why? Because of private healthcare at the time, but also attending my triannual NHS screenings at my local NHS surgery. It's easier for me. It saves me like an hour of travel to and from London, and cash as well. I love the nurses there. It's easy to just pop down. It's so much better to see a nurse than a doctor. You can just book in your cervical smear. Fine. So I never had any treatment. It was just monitored. They looked at it the second time and the HPV was just gone, like spontaneously resolved itself. And your own immune system can clear it, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't, obviously still be checked. So it's been just over 3 years. I had my last cervical smear, for anyone who's keeping score, in I think April 2022, maybe February 2022. Huh? Would I have been pregnant with Fenna? When was she born? Maybe I was pregnant with Fenna, like early pregnant with Fenna, and I just didn't tell them. Because this time I turned up for my cervical screening and they were like, yeah, we thought you were pregnant. You can't do this. And I was like, why? And they said, well, because we don't want to do anything that might disrupt your cervix and cause any risk to your fetus, which as soon as they said it made total sense. I was like, oh yeah, true. And I should have Googled it. But also they could have called me. Like, you have my number, right? You have my email. The girl didn't realize I was pregnant when I walked in. She said, my surgery manager told me she thinks you're pregnant. And why? Because I'm parading around on red carpets pregnant. And I talk about being pregnant. I think they know who I am. And I was like, yeah, I am pregnant. She's like, well, we just wanted to see you and confirm, like, yeah, we can't do this until the baby's born. I said, okay. So she's like, when you bring your baby here for its 6-week inoculations and to register it with the surgery. I said, no, I don't do that. No. But I will come for only my smears. That's the only thing I use my local surgery for. So if you are receiving one of those letters, you have to attend. But if you're pregnant, you're not allowed to go. And I'm actually really not even arguing with medical advice for once. Yeah, makes sense. The last thing you want is to get a few cells clipped off your cervix and your cervix decides to fucking dilate. I know what everybody wants to talk about, and it is the COLDPLAY couple. Everybody has been asking, what do you think of this? What is your take on it? It's a surprising one, maybe. I feel like two regular nerds are not equipped to deal with how big this has gotten. It is the only thing the internet have been discussing since it happened last weekend. If you are somehow living under a rock, the rest of us have all seen and heard about the couple caught cuckolding their companions on the kiss cam at a Coldplay concert, leaving both of them with cold sores as far as the internet is concerned. But in the event that you're not chronically online, here's a recap. During a portion of their July 16th Boston show, in which Coldplay frontman Chris Martin scours the crowd for concert goers eager for their close-up on the kiss cam, jumbotron, what have you, he landed on a canoodling couple who were anything but. At what initially looked like two well-maintained 50-somethings spooning upright quickly turned into panic as the woman immediately covers her face and the man took an imaginary elevator out of frame. You didn't need a PhD in body language reading to figure out what was going on, with Chris Martin remarking, "All right, come on, you're okay. Oh, what? Oh, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy." You know what the web is like. The internet wasted no time in determining that this was the former. Quickly outing the couple as Andy Byron, the CEO of an AI software firm called Astronomer, and the company's head of HR, Kristen Cabot, i.e. the person who would be tasked with firing the two for violating company HR protocol and having the affair. So do as I say, not as I do, I guess. And the aspect that's causing both Byron and Cabot from vivaing their respective vidas, they are both married to other people. Before it was deactivated, Byron's wife's Facebook was flooded with supportive comments from viewers of the viral video, many feeling extra sympathetic given that her account had public pictures of what appeared to be 2 children that she shares with him. Cabot, on the other hand, is on her second marriage to the CEO of an old rum company literally founded in pirate times, and court documents obtained show she is receiving child support from her first marriage for at least 1 child. The AI firm that previously served as the couple's illicit love nest issued this statement seemingly out of the 1950s. Astronomer is committed to the values and culture that have guided us since our founding. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability. The board of directors has initiated a formal investigation into this matter, and we will have additional details to share very shortly. The additional details turned out to be that Andy Byron was resigning, and the very shortly was the next day. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability, and recently that standard was not met. Unclear as to whether Kristen Cabot is still holding it down in HR, but her recently deleted LinkedIn profile would suggest that she has taken leave to her coastal New Hampshire palace, which public records say she and her soon-to-be ex-husband, purchased with $2.2 million worth of old rum money in 2023. And what about the source of the clip? Coldplay fan Grace Springer, who captured the video that left the adulterous New Englanders' lives in ruin. Appearing on This Morning on Monday, she told Allison Hammond and Dermot O'Leary, "I was hoping to see myself on the big screen, and I love to capture moments, so that's why my phone was out in the first place. In the moment when I filmed it, I didn't think much of it, but of course, everyone was kind of chattering. There were over 50,000 people at the concert, so it was a hot topic." When asked whether she has any regrets about sharing the clip, Springer said, "I definitely feel for Andy's wife, Megan, his family, and everyone else who's been hurt in the process. But as I said, there were over 50,000 people, and I'm not sure I'm the only one who caught it on camera. So if it wasn't me who uploaded it, I'm sure someone else would have," adding that she has not monetized the clip that across platforms has now been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Fuck. Oh, actually, that's what hurts me the most, is that this little girl didn't monetize the clip. You gotta monetize your TikTok. Violet taught me to do that only recently, and she's made more money on TikTok than I have. But yeah, you gotta. Oh God, how much money would that be? Hundreds of millions? Wait, I'm gonna ask Gemini. I've got this new thing called Gemini. I am doing an ad for them, but this is not it. Gemini, how much revenue would you receive as a TikTok creator for a video that got 300 million views? Okay. It says, you can make Gemini talk, but, oh, it said it's difficult to figure out. What? Oh, 40 pounds per million views. So if it got 300 million views, she could get between $6,000 and $12,000. But there are like different rates for different type of accounts. So holy shit. What? Oh my God. If she's got TikTok Creator Rewards Program, which is newer program focusing on longer engaging content. I don't think this content would have been long enough, but then she would have got $120,000 or $300,000. Get damn. Okay. So that is the rundown. Here's how I feel about it. I think this is the nerdiest thing that's ever happened. And that is what captivates people. Like, it's not someone getting fingered during a Maroon 5 set. You know what I mean? It's not someone getting their pussy eaten at an Arctic Monkeys concert. It is a CEO of a business to business tech company hugging an HR executive. Like, it is one of the whitest, nerdiest, at like a corporate rock concert, Coldplay. You know what I mean? Like, there could be nothing more nerdy than what happened. And if they had just played it off, as everyone had said, if they'd done a little thumbs up, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But this Andy had to take the elevator out of the shot, and the woman looked surprised. And then they have colleagues all around them. This is what you have to watch out for. Even the nerds are cheating now. Even the nerds. And I mean both nerds. And their colleagues don't look surprised. Like, their colleagues are at the concert as well. I'm sure he spoke to his wife. He's like, "Oh yeah, babe. Oh yeah, it's another like boring corporate engagement. I have to go. No spouses are allowed." oh, yes, I am the CEO. I could change that rule, but, I don't want to upset people. I can't just be seen to be bringing my wife if no one else can bring. And like, meanwhile, he's canoodling with someone at work. And who knows exactly what's going on, how long it's been going on for. But it was two nerds at a nerd event having some type of nerd romantic interaction and reacting in a nerd way. But it has gotten so big that I do worry about people's mental health. Like, even Jennifer Aniston is not equipped for like a pile on like the one she experienced during her split with Brad. Like, these are very private matters. And when the whole internet becomes obsessed with your pain, it's wild. And every single time we just get lucky. Like, we are lucky that both of the, astronomer affair people haven't taken their lives. We are lucky that this wife, or indeed the rum husband of the side piece, haven't like hurt themselves or hurt each other in some way. Like, it only takes some of these chat shows where you're like, oh, I've got a secret crush on you. Who is it? Who's my secret crush? It's a gay man from work. And then that guy gets murdered because of public embarrassment. And you find yourself Miss Jenny Jones in a courtroom. Like, there is a whole other conversation to be had about digital privacy. Not that I'm ever against someone being outed for cheating. Don't cheat if you don't want to be caught cheating. Don't go to a really public place where there's a jumbotron. And where was this guy from again? Like, they're all from kind of New Hampshire, New York, Boston. Like, you're going to bump into someone. If you are a white CEO and you are a side piece who's married to another white CEO, and you go to a Coldplay concert in a box, you're going to find people who know your family, know your friends, maybe know your wife. You're going to get caught. Not maybe in this way. No one anticipates to go like super, super viral. But I feel badly. And there are so many fake statements that have come out about it. Like, everyone on TikTok is this guy's kids now. Even Bobby this morning came down the stairs and he's like, oh, TikTok came up in my feed for some reason. It's the astronomer guy's daughter. I was like, I don't think it is. I've seen like 20, unless he has 20 daughters and sons all reacting to like, the clout from when your dad is cheating at a Coldplay concert. It's like, I counseled Violet. I said, Violet, quick, you need to make a TikTok saying that I am the side piece or your dad is the CEO. But she wasn't into doing that. Violet, we could have made 300 grand. It's sad. It's all very sad. And you know what's even sadder is the state of television. The Colbert Show has been canceled in America. I don't know if you access it here in the UK, but I think it's still relevant because I was so fortunate to film a new series of Out of Order, which is Rosie Jones' show, Rosie Jones Out of Order, alongside many guest comedians that I admire, some incredible regulars whom you will get to know when it comes out on Comedy Central. My good friend Judy Love, one of the funniest comedians of our generation, and of course, Rosie. And the studio did feel quiet. And I have meetings about like what TV to pitch next, like what's coming next. And it is an evolution that's very interesting. But I think a lot of these shows have lost their rawness and their spontaneity because nobody was really sure what was hateful, hate speech. And then everybody got so PC that they were like, we don't really understand what punched down in the first place and what was unacceptable in the first place. So we'll just sanitize everything. And then people were like, well, I don't want to see this. I can watch TikTok and see the total spontaneity of a nerd getting off with one of his employees. And by the way, some companies you are allowed to fuck like a coworker, but it's obviously not ideal, especially if you're married. Okay. Along with the Department of Education, you said, and public broadcasting, the Trump administration has seemingly caused the ruin of another American institution, the late night talk show, or at least that is one reading of it. CBS announced on Thursday, July 17th, that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert will wrap its run in May 2026, following the 2025-26 broadcast season. Emphasizing that this wasn't a Colbert-specific thing, CBS in its statement said that the entire 11:30 p.m. Late Show franchise is coming to an end after it began in 1993 with legendary weirdo curmudgeon David Letterman. And this man ended up being a bit of a wrong-in. He was also having an affair with his intern, timely. But I remember being 10 years old and loving David Letterman. Like, it was that standing topical monologue was so exciting to me. Even as a 10-year-old, I didn't understand the news, but I knew it was fresh and it was funny. And I just loved something about it before I even understood what it was. They said this is purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount, which is an oddly specific statement industry insiders aren't exactly needing to squint into opera glasses to decode. The prevailing logic among fans and industry alike is that the bigwigs at CBS's parent company Paramount are desperate to jam through a merger with media company Skydance, which will be, by the grace of a commission, controlled by the Trump administration. And the oft-critical Colbert was the sacrificial lamb offered in tribute. Who knows? This is what I'm reading people think it might be. I don't, in the UK, obviously have like eyes on the ground about this. However, but also, although Stephen Colbert was the highest rated late night show broadcast on network television, it only averages about 2.5 million viewers, with ad revenue down 50% for all late night over the last 7 years. And the 4 times a week late show costs more than $100 million a year to produce, employing hundreds of people. Sources say it's been losing more than $40 million a year and does not have a noteworthy digital footprint like its competitors. It's either the death knell for free speech or the time-honored tradition of a white man in a suit making a slightly risque joke to a movie star in a hyper-controlled environment. It's a sad day for sure. I love the late night talk show format. I do, but if it's not making money, it's not making money. And like, even as sad as it is, who among us can't hold your hands up and go, okay, like, I get that. I get how things have to be profitable, but it would have been nice kind of 7 years ago if some smart person could have stepped in, or maybe just been listened to more, who was fanning the red flags, being like, yo, this is not profitable. And I think we used to sneer at online creators and streamers and certainly social media platforms and be like, well, you know, we're on TV. That's not, and I'm not saying I would, but at different award shows, you would hear rumblings of that like TV stars didn't want to sit next to influencers and stuff. And it's like, well, they adapted and evolved and they create compelling, raw, spontaneous content that is a little rough around the edges maybe, but people are willing to give it a shot over sanitized, like, we're told when to laugh and what to laugh at. And we know this has been through different like lawyers, and people just don't want that anymore. And they're taking their advertising eyes, their data elsewhere. So I think TV will come back in a way. I just don't, I don't have the crystal ball to know exactly what way that will be. But it will have to be engaging, exciting, and a little bit edgy. That's not to say, I've seen shows on streamers that will just sprinkle in the edge by using the R word here and there. And that's, to me, not exactly raw or spontaneous either. It's really weird, the number of people who don't know the difference between satire, edge, and just like out and out hate speech. If they did, which we tried to explain to them, I don't think any of this would have happened in the first place. Let's do some of your letters now. This one has caught my attention. Katherine, do I really want to be baby mama number 4? My boyfriend, oh God, he has 3 kids from 3 different women. Before we started dating, I was incredibly hesitant about this, so we took things slowly before I decided I wanted to be in a relationship. The situation isn't ideal, but I do want to be with him, and now we've been together for a while. I have no experience of dating someone with children, and I have no children of my own. He is a great dad to all his kids. He loves them. He's always there for them. He never speaks badly about the mothers, and he co-parents easily with them. One of his children was planned, and the other two were unplanned. He's known for being a bit of a player in his youth. However, his youngest child is 7 years old from a one-night stand. So I know it's been a while, but it could be considered fairly recent as well. I've always wanted children of my own. All I keep hearing, though, in the back of my mind is, do I want to be baby mom number 4? And if things don't work out later on, I'll feel so stupid for ignoring all the big red flags. I mean, do you know these women, I would say? Do you talk to these women? Because I know where you're coming from. You have probably a dilemma that's twofold. You're like, do I want to be baby mom number 4 from the outside world? Am I worried about the stigma and what people are going to say at the school gates when they're like, yeah, well, he has all these other children with all these other women and now her. And especially if the relationship fails, you're maybe worried about other people's gaze, but that should never be your concern. People are going to say what they're going to say regardless. You could have the most vanilla, married at 18, never had sex with anyone else, had children only in your marriage, and people will judge you for the vanilla-ness of that. Or if that relationship failed, they would be like, how could she leave him, after having 5 kids together and being married since 18? Like, judgy people are going to judge. So no, being the 4th baby mother from an outside perspective, I don't think it would bother me. If you're truly happy and if you truly trust this man. What concerns me is, can you truly trust this man? Can you truly be happy? You say that he's a great dad. He's there for them all. He co-parents very nicely with his exes, but it's almost impossible for you to know what the dynamic was while they were his partners, while these babies lived in his house, especially the one that was planned. And if the baby's mothers have any vendetta against him, that could be unfounded and they could just slag him off too because they don't want to see him be happy. But it sounds like everybody gets along. So why would they? I think before I entered into a lifelong contract like this, I would make friends with at least the first baby's mother. These kids are going to be in your life anyway. Presumably, you know these moms already, hopefully on a level where you can have an honest chat. And be like, I see that he loves his kids. I see that you guys have a good relationship co-parenting, but I'm kind of thinking, do I want a co-parenting relationship with someone too? Or do I plan to stay in a relationship with them? Why do you think you guys did not stay in a relationship? Because maybe he's just a really good co-parent. Maybe he's just a really good, non-main parent. And unless that's what you want, maybe you should leave him in his Nick Cannon lane. All those women are really happy. They're like, yeah, he's got 12 kids. He pays for them. He sees them. They love him. But there's something I've been looking at, and I do forget the actual clinical term for it, but my TikTok algorithm knows that I'm going to have 4 kids now myself. And even though we all live under the same roof, social media is starting to talk to me about resource depletion theory or resource division maximum or something. About it's telling me that families with more than 4 kids experience this neglect. As much as you love your children and as much as you want to be there for them, studies have shown there just isn't enough of you to go around. If you're nursing one baby's throwing up, one baby is trying to study for, well, hopefully not a baby, unless it's a genius, GCSEs, children will just naturally have needs. And how many children becomes too many children before the parents are not dividing their resources appropriately, be those love, financial, attention, resources. Like someone is going to have to learn a lot of patience and wait. And this study was telling me, maybe conveniently because I'm having my fourth, this study was like 4 is the max. And we do have Miriam, we do have help so that we can get our work done and stuff, but it's not the same. Like 2 parents need to know in their own relationship, okay, we are starting to do a disservice to the children we already have by having more. And how this relates to you is like, okay, this guy's a good dad, but how good of a dad can you be to each child when you have 3 different children in 3 different homes? Soon to be 4 different children in 4 different homes. How much love and attention could he possibly be giving them? And how much love and attention is your child going to get, considering this man has to divide all of his resources by 4? Even with the best intentions, how good can he be? And that's my issue with Nick Cannon as well. He's like, I'm a great dad. I'm like, yeah, because you can be a 12th of a mom and be considered a great dad. And then I don't know if it was satire. It might have been on this podcast with this girl whose name I don't know at the minute, but she's really funny. He couldn't name them. She's like, what are all 12 of your baby's names? And he was like he stumbled after 7 of them. Possibly satire. I'm hoping it was satire. But do you know what I mean? Would you have 4 kids in the world and live with maybe one of them for a while? Who knows? Forever? Do you think you would be a good mother to all 4? So why is the standard lower for him? I wouldn't like it, girl. But those are some things to consider. Okay, this is a very important reply for the listener last week she had a daughter whose dad had a no contact order, but he was turning up anyway, violating the no contact order and being like, daddy loves you, daddy loves you. So this lady says, I am a child and adolescent psychotherapist. I hope you can share this with your listener. If she's looking for therapy for her daughter, meeting with a CAPT could offer a helpful therapeutic approach for them. CAPTs are trained to work with children antenatal to 25 years and parents and carers. It's a relational and developmental therapeutic approach that supports children and young people to understand themselves and to think about their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and supports parents and carers to think about their child's emotional and relational life and their development. CAPTs have lots of experience working with children and families who have experienced domestic abuse and relational trauma. So if she would like to find one, she could get in touch with her local COMS to see if they have child psychotherapy. They may or may not have this provision. Alternatively, if she has means to seek private therapy, she should look on childpsychotherapy.org.uk and search for an independent CAPT in her area to deal with, all of the baggage of her dad violating no contact orders and turning up and shouting. I think it is important to deal with these things right away. Like, I think sometimes you give kids robustness, a little bit too much control, and you go, oh yeah, look, she's bounced back. She doesn't love it, but she's a kid. She's going to be resilient. It's like, no, address it now, I think. And that is great advice and a great resource. Although one of my friends, and I feel badly because, okay, so I have 2 friends, one who's recently, I have exactly 2 friends. One who has recently had experience with COMS through a family member who, had very poor mental health and did make attempts to take their own life. And COMS were incredible. But then I have another friend whose child is on and off navigating like depression, battling these thoughts, but hasn't made an actual hasn't done anything to take their own life as of yet. So she called COMS and they were like, well, has the child tried to take their own life? And my friend said no. And they said, yeah, well, we can't step in until the child tries to take their own life. According to my friend, this was the conversation. And I understand that there are companies and charities and resources that are underfunded, but I mean, that just sounds bananas to me. Like, why do you want to wait? But yeah. So I understand the frustration of people who want to access these services and can't. So if you can seek an independent person, I think, what did you call it? childpsychotherapy.org.uk. I mean, hopefully that has even greater resources if you do get turned away from one of the other pro bono ones. Oh, this one. This, I think, is from the 1970s. This is from the same people who ask me if I can breastfeed with breast implants. Katherine, I've been dyeing my hair since I was 14. I'm currently in my mid-30s and I'm trying to conceive. I'm getting so much conflicting advice about whether I can continue to dye my hair into a pregnancy if and when one hopefully happens. I saw your recent story about dyeing your hair while pregnant, and I was hoping maybe you could shed some light on this topic. I go to a salon, I use good quality dye, no like mix and match boxed nonsense happening over here. Though, can I just say some box dye is good. Hair is a big part of my identity, and while I wouldn't want to do anything unsafe when pregnant, I can't help but feel the warnings not to dye my hair while pregnant are a bit short-sighted. So, first of all the best vibes and good wishes for conceiving a pregnancy. No matter what I say on the radio, I love my children more than life itself. People choose not to have them, and those people look tremendously rested and happy and fulfilled. And they can, they really can have a nice quality of life. They really can. And some days I envy them. But if you do choose to have kids, you will find that, every single person comes knocking at your door. Like, you can't have any alcohol. You can't have coffee. You can't have raw meat. You can't have salami. You can't have certain cheeses. You can't have sushi. And you can't dye your hair. And you can't go on flights. Like, I have been told everything. There are some schools of thought, according to my acupuncturist, that say you shouldn't get on a flight in the first 3 months of pregnancy, including when you're trying to conceive. And that makes sense to me because, possibly it increases the risk of blood clotting. And, a lot of this stuff does make sense. You do not want to contract listeria or any other type of food poisoning in your pregnancy. Like, you want to stay as safe as possible. But ultimately, you are a grown woman. You're old enough to create life and make that choice. And in my life, I choose to take very little advice. I wouldn't be eating sushi from like a hot truck, but if I go to a really lovely, clean sushi restaurant and I'm not eating anything like, for me personally, I would draw the line at oysters. Like, I'm not going to eat eel at any time in my life, but like there are things that I'd be like, I wouldn't be too adventurous, but would I have like salmon nigiri or some maki rolls from a really reputable place? Yes, because I think that all sushi is frozen in the UK anyway, and that kills bacteria. And the only one time I ever got food poisoning was from commercial lettuce. I think if you search statistic food poisoning, lettuce comes in quite high. So why are they telling us we can't have like salami? But if you feel more comfortable cutting these things out, and if you would never forgive yourself if something totally unrelated happened and then you decided to blame it on hair dye, then like you can go 9 months without dyeing your hair. But like someone told me in my DMs, like, Katherine, stop giving advice. Just direct people to the NHS. You can go and you can read whatever you want on the NHS, like official advice about pregnancy. But I have to tell you that I do not personally agree with all of it. You know how to keep yourself safe. If you're someone not pregnant who gets food poisoning a lot, then you might be an idiot. And you might be really sensitive. And maybe you should like let Jesus take the wheel for a bit and not make any food choices outside of the NHS recommendation. Yeah. You should maybe just like hand that over to someone else. But dyeing your hair, I think, is absolutely fine. Can I tell you that and be like 100% sure? No. But my hair looks fucking incredible now since I saw my friend Sam Burnett got the blonde chop, my little bob back. I look amazing. This haircut really suits me. And it makes me feel better about myself. And what's going to be like really healthful for your baby is a mother who has mental health and self-esteem. I don't drink in this pregnancy, but I would. I have in the past, like at a wedding or a celebration. I've had like a sip of Prosecco. I've had a glass of white wine. I don't think that's going to kill you. I do have a small coffee in the morning, but not more than that because it makes me feel sick. You just know your own body. Do what you want. Maybe don't put it on socials if you don't want to be trolled by people who get angry about it. And make smart decisions for yourself because you are a whole grown-ass woman who is taking a dick raw. And that is the dumbest thing you could do in your life, really. So can't get much worse from here. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. I hope that you are keeping well, looking after yourself, and having a beautiful summer with your maybe children on holiday. Or maybe you're venturing out to your local supermarket and noticing that all the children are on holiday and you hate that. You should take yourself abroad to an adults-only resort. See you soon.